Hello everyone and welcome to a new lesson. To begin, I would like you to imagine something. 3 students apply for the exact same scholarship. All 3 have excellent grades. All 3 volunteer in their communities, and all 3 have strong recommendation letters. All 3 want to become teachers, yet only one student wins. Why? Was he smarter? No. Did he work harder? Not necessarily. Did he have better grades? I don't think so. In fact, on paper, the students looked almost identical. So what made the difference? The answer might surprise you. The winning student understood something that most people never consciously learn. People are not persuaded by facts alone. They are persuaded by trust, emotion, and reason. Today, we're going to meet a student named John. John is about to apply for a scholarship that could change his life. And through his journey, we're going to learn one of the most powerful ideas ever developed about communication. An idea that explains why advertisements work, why politicians gain supporters, why some essays earn A's, why some YouTube videos go viral, and why some arguments actually change minds while others fail completely. This is not a new idea. It was actually developed more than 2,300 years ago by a Greek philosopher named Aristotle. And once you understand it, you will never look at communication the same way again. Meet John. John is the first person in his family to attend college. He works 20 hours each week. He takes a full course load. He dreams of becoming a teacher. One afternoon, he discovers a scholarship worth $10,000. Winning that scholarship would mean fewer work hours, less debt, more time to study, and a better chance of graduating on time. But what is the problem? Well, hundreds of students are applying for this scholarship, yet only one will win. John must convince complete strangers that he deserves the scholarship. At this moment, John thinks writing the essay will be easy, and he is about to discover otherwise. Aristotle became fascinated by a question. Why do some arguments persuade people while others fail? Think about it. 2 people can present similar ideas, but one changes minds, the other gets ignored. How can that happen? Well, after years of observation, Aristotle concluded that persuasion usually depends on 3 forces: ethos, pathos, and logos. Think of these as the 3 legs of a stool. This stool will become our guide throughout the lesson. Imagine sitting on a stool with only one leg. You would immediately fall. What about two legs? Well, still unstable. A sturdy stool needs all three. And persuasion works the same way. Strong arguments usually stand on credibility, emotion, and logic. Remove one leg and the argument becomes weaker. Remove two and it may collapse completely. Now, let's see what happens when John writes his first draft. John opens his laptop and writes, "I deserve the scholarship because I really need the money." Then he stops. That's his entire argument. But imagine you are on the scholarship committee. Would this sentence persuade you? Probably not. Why not? Because John has given the committee a conclusion, but he has not given them a reason to believe him. His stool has no legs. This is where Aristotle enters the story. The first leg of the stool is ethos. Ethos is ethics. Ethos is credibility. And it answers the question, why should I trust you? Let's use an analogy. Imagine you board an airplane. The pilot says, "Good morning. This is my first flight. Last night I watched several YouTube videos about flying." How do you feel about that? Well, I would be really worried. Now, imagine the pilot says something else. "I have safely completed 12,000 flights during my 25-year career." The plane hasn't changed. The weather hasn't changed. Only one thing changed, and that is your trust. And this is what ethos is. John realizes something. The scholarship committee knows nothing about him. They don't know his work ethic, his accomplishments, his character, or his commitment. So he revises his essay. Instead of saying, "I deserve this scholarship," he writes, "Throughout college, I have maintained a 3.9 GPA while working 20 hours each week and volunteering at a local literacy center." Notice what happened. John isn't asking for trust. He is earning it. Therefore, the first leg of the stool is now in place. John reads his revised essay. Everything is factual. Everything is impressive. It is credible, and yet something feels wrong. The essay sounds like a resume. It feels cold. The committee knows what John has done, but they still don't know who John is. His stool has only one leg, and as we said, one leg is not enough. The second leg is pathos. Pathos is passions, because pathos appeals to emotions. Many students misunderstand this concept. Passion is not about making people cry. Pathos is about helping people care. Because facts tell, but stories connect. Facts inform, but stories make information meaningful. This is why human beings remember stories far longer than statistics. John asks himself, "Why do I want to become a teacher?" Suddenly, he remembers his younger brother. When he was in elementary school, reading was difficult for him. So every evening, John sat beside him. He helped him sound out words. He encouraged his brother when he became frustrated. Eventually, the brother finished his book independently. And John writes, "Watching my younger brother gain confidence through reading inspired my dream of becoming an educator. Now the committee sees a person, not merely a GPA, not merely a list of achievements, but a person." That is what pathos is. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever cried during a movie? Well, logically, you know the characters are actors. You know the story isn't happening to you, yet you still feel emotions. Why? Because stories create connections. Humans are storytelling creatures. This is why charities use stories. This is why speeches use stories. Social media influencers share stories. And this is why John's essay just became more powerful. John reads his essay again. Now it feels personal, it feels emotional, but something is still missing. Imagine the committee asks, "How exactly will this scholarship help John succeed?" This essay doesn't answer that question. Emotions alone are not enough. The stool still wobbles because one leg remains missing. The third leg is logos. Logos appeals to logic. Logos answers the question, does this argument make sense? Is it logical? Logos uses evidence, research, examples, facts, reasoning, and analysis. Therefore, logos provides the foundation that supports a claim. John adds another statement. He writes, "According to the university's financial aid office, students who work more than 20 hours per week are significantly more likely to delay graduation. Receiving this scholarship would allow me to reduce my work hours and focus more fully on my coursework." Now, the committee understands the problem, the evidence, and the solution, and John is no longer asking for help. He is making a reasoned argument, and that is logos. Let's review. Ethos answers to the question, why should we trust John? Pathos answers to the question, why should we care about John? And logos answers to the question, why does John's argument make sense? Now the stool stands firmly. The strongest arguments rarely rely only on one appeal. They balance all three. Let's test your understanding now. Pause the video and identify. Where do you see ethos? Where do you see pathos? Where do you see logos? Take 30 seconds, then resume the video. Let's examine the advertisement. Ethos is the famous athlete because the athlete's success creates credibility. Pathos is the inspirational story, the emotional music, the feeling of determination. Logos is the claim about performance and training. And notice something important here. The advertisement doesn't rely on one appeal. It combines all three, just like John's essay, just like many other successful arguments. You might think Aristotle belongs in history class, but Aristotle is actually everywhere. Every time you open TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, you encounter ethos, pathos, and logos. Influencers build ethos. Emotional videos use pathos. Tutorials and informational content use logos. The platforms changed, but human psychology did not. Here's a thought that fascinates me. Aristotle lived before electricity, before computers, before the internet, but some of the most advanced algorithms in human history reward the exact persuasive techniques he identified more than 2,000 years ago. Think about that. The digital era may be new, but human persuasion is not. The technology has evolved, but human nature remained remarkably consistent. Let's expand our perspective. Job interviews. The ethos is your experience. The pathos is your personal story. And the logos is your qualifications. Let's look at the courtroom. The ethos is the attorney's credibility. The pathos is the jury emotions. The logos is the evidence. Even research papers use rhetorical appeals. When a scholar cites evidence, they build logos. When they provide reliable information, they build ethos. And when they adopt a warm conversational tone, they use pathos. Once you understand the rhetoric, you start seeing it everywhere. Now, let's bring everything back to English composition. Strong essays use all three appeals. Ethos are the credible sources, the professional tone, and the academic integrity. Pathos are the meaningful examples, human significance, and audience's awareness. Logos are the evidence, reasoning, analysis. As you see, the best essays are not simply informative, but they are persuasive. Several months later, John receives an email. He opens it and his hands shake. The first line reads, "Congratulations, you have been selected as this year's scholarship recipient." Now, let's ask an important question. What changed? His GPA didn't change. His dream didn't change either. His financial situation didn't change. But what changed was his ability to communicate. John learned how persuasion works, and that makes all the difference. Let's return to Aristotle's original question. Why do some arguments persuade people while others fail? His example was simple. People are persuaded when they trust the speaker, feel connected to the message, and understand the reasoning that is ethos, pathos, and logos. These are the three legs of one stool. Remove one and persuasion becomes unstable. Use all three and your argument stands strong. At the beginning of this lesson, John was simply another student applying for a scholarship, but by the end, he had learned something that applies far beyond scholarships. Aristotle's rhetorical triangle is not merely a theory about persuasion, it is a theory about human nature. Every day, people ask us to believe them. Advertisers, politicians, journalists, influencers, friends, co-workers, teachers, and now you possess a tool that allows you to analyze those messages critically. Tomorrow, when you scroll social media, watch a commercial, read an article, or write an essay, ask yourself, what is persuading me right now? Because once you understand the rhetoric, you begin to see the machinery behind persuasion. And once you see it, you can never truly unsee it. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see ethos, pathos, and logos most often? Is that in advertisements, social media, politics, or everyday conversations? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this lesson helpful, please like the video and subscribe so you don't miss future lessons on writing, rhetoric, and critical thinking. Until next time, keep asking an important question. What is persuading me right now?